I'm Adrian, the Cruise and Travel Guy, and in today's video we're going to discuss Australian consumer law and how it might impact your next cruise booking. Australian consumer law is considered one of the most comprehensive and foundationally robust anywhere in the world. It's a single national approach to consumer protection that is applied evenly across all states and territories. It outlines mandatory consumer guarantees and rights, as well as restrictions against misleading business conduct. Just one part of Australian consumer law dictates that a business must display a total single-figure price for a product or service. It must include any taxes, duties, and unavoidable or pre-selected extra fees. And that's what triggered this investigation. For quite a number of years now, cruise lines such as Carnival, P&O Australia, Royal Caribbean, Princess, and even NCL have included the cost of gratuities within the total cruise fare for Australian guests. Including the cost of gratuities is not only commensurate with the way that we do business in Australia, but it is in line with Australian consumer law. Ultimately, it means there are no surprise charges once on board. During both an earlier cruise this year on Cunard's Queen Elizabeth and my recent cruise on board Disney Wonder, each passenger was charged a daily service fee to their onboard account. The cost of the service fee varies depending on your stateroom type, typically, and on Disney Wonder we were charged US $14.50 per guest per day. To be clear, this video is not about the topic of tipping. I know that can be a hotbed of opinions, but rather a cruise line's obligation to give you a full and single price when dealing with Australian consumers. On this point, the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission website is very clear, and it states, optional extras must be included in the total price if the business pre-selects these options for customers. Pre-selected means the business will include these options and charge for them unless the customer removes them. The ACCC supports this with an example where seat selection for a flight is pre-selected by the airline and will be charged unless the customer opts to turn it off. The total price for the flight must then include the cost of seat selection, as this is pre-selected by the business. On that basis, any reasonable person would understand that the total price quoted at checkout on a cruise line's website should include all fees, even those that have been pre-selected or that the customer can opt out of, like service charges. I decided to do some digging and actually have a look at what the checkout process looks like when booking a cruise via a cruise line's website. I was intently focused on discovering whether or not the total price reflected at checkout included the cost of automatically applied tips. For the purpose of this video, I kept the search to bigger cruise lines such as Disney, Holland America, and Cunard. Disney Cruise Line's booking platform does clearly outline that additional daily service charges will apply. It doesn't technically include this in the total displayed cost, but still anyone making a booking would be aware of the impending charge. When it comes to Holland America and Cunard, things aren't quite as clear. While the final prices indicate that port fees, government charges, and taxes are included, they fail to mention that daily service charges will automatically be applied once on board, or what those costs will be. Curiously, Cunard's checkout page indicated that port fees and charges totaled $0. I can't make sense of that one. To find out the cost of daily service charges, travelers need to go digging through each cruise line's website. Holland America's begin at US $17 per guest per day, and Cunard's at US $16 per guest per day. In these cases, and according to the information supplied by each cruise line's respective website, these fees will be levied against each person's onboard account automatically unless they opt out. Australia's consumer law is quite clear in dictating that pricing must include extras pre-selected by a business that would subsequently need to be removed by a customer. I contacted the ACCC directly in relation to this topic, and in response a spokesperson said, all businesses that carry on business in Australia, including those based in other countries or operating online, must comply with Australian consumer law. Businesses must be clear and upfront about any additional costs, such as surcharges that might apply, as well as when a charge is optional. Businesses should disclose information about optional or contingent fees to consumers at the earliest possible point before consumers make their order or purchase. Businesses that add extra charges to purchases without adequately disclosing them in advance are at risk of breaching the consumer law. I've included the full ACCC response in my description below. The other thing to consider is that some cruise lines will still charge Australian guests a daily service fee for a cruise that is booked in Australia but sails from an overseas port. But let's tackle one thing at a time. Let me know in the comments, what are your thoughts on this topic? Do you think that cruise lines should really be more upfront and transparent about the charges that they're levying against you or on you when you book a cruise, in line, effectively, with Australian consumer law? Well, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do. And if you'd like to support my work, you can book your next cruise at my website at no additional cost to you, but you can actually use my incredible search tool to compare pricing for cruises all around the world and make a booking yourself at thecruiseandtravelguide.com.au, and give me a follow on Facebook and Instagram at The Cruise and Travel Guide to stay up to date with my travels as they happen. Thanks again, and I'll see you soon.